I was born an Army brat. My father was an Army brat. It's a child who was raised in the military. My father was in the Army. I was born in Kentucky, and we moved all over the United States. Went to high school in Hawaii. Pretty nondescript kind of military life. And religiously, we went to church for Easter. My mother made us go for Easter, and I liked being in church. I liked it. I've always believed in God and praying. All these religions seem to have the main thing, God rules how to act, worship me. What if it's just one God, and these messengers come down, but people keep messing it up? They keep changing it after he dies. So when they told me Islam, that's basically what it said. One God, 124,000 prophets. The book gets changed, the message gets changed, it keeps coming down, 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 and then here's the last one. So it was like, okay, this makes a whole lot of sense. So I just started paying attention and learning, and everything I heard was just clicking.
I was raised Buddhist, but we weren't very orthodox Buddhists. We were just kind of the Buddhist that I was basically Buddhist, kind of Confucius Taoist. It's a lot of Chinese culture, but not a lot of the laws of Buddhism. That night where I found out that Buddha just hinted towards Islam, that's what kind of was mind-baffling. That's what kind of made me go, if I truly believe in Buddha and I truly say that I'm Buddhist, I should listen to his words and change, convert, become Islamic. And so I guess that was probably 3 or 4 months before I actually became Muslim. And then after that, I just waited for a Quran to come, and I became Muslim.
I'm born and raised in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My family's been there a long time, like many generations. My family was sort of kind of Christian, like they believe in God, but they weren't really practicing. At first I was a little surprised by what was in the Quran, because it was so much that I already knew. And I expected something more different, because I didn't realize had no idea of the relationship between Islam and Christianity and Judaism and all that at that time. I actually felt anger that I had spent my whole life and never heard anything about this, and it was the same prophets, the same God, and it was like a big secret.
Well, I was born in a small island in the Caribbean called St. Vincent, and I grew up in Barbados, and then I came to the Bahamas the last 29 years. I was an Anglican. My family is Anglicans, but at the age of 11, I was always challenging about, how could God be three? When I first became Muslim, I became Muslim under the Sunni Madhab. Okay. And that was like 33 years ago. And then I became Shia 28 years ago.
I grew up in Schenectady, New York. It's just outside of Albany, the capital of the state. Classic Roman Catholic family. 2 brothers. My uncle is a Catholic priest. When I read the Quran for the first time, it was literally a revelation. It was very powerful. I couldn't put it down. I never read a book so fast. Of all the religious texts that I read, I never read a book that was written in the first person. It was not speaking about something. It was not historical. It was not a historical document in the classic sense. It was not written by normal means, and that's apparent right off the bat. And when you have this book speaking directly to you, that's what it feels like. It's quite a different effect, and it's not like reading any other book. I've read enough to know that it's not It's not a book written by a human being.
I've always been conscious of a creator, of something beyond our reality. June 9th, 2003, early in the morning, we got a call from the hospital telling us that my cousin passed away. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? It can't be possible because we just made plans. We had plans. And you know very much well what our plans were. It was a very heartbreaking time for me. It was definitely hard for me to deal with. And that made me even reflect on my own beliefs and my reason for existence. And this was sort of at the time I had wiped myself clean of the idea that Jesus is the Son of God. So I went to go get a book called Teach Yourself, which is a series, Teach Yourself, Hindi, Urdu, whatever it may be. And this was Teach Yourself Islam. So I started learning about Islam. I'm like, word, Jesus is looked and viewed upon like this. The Muslim community is like this. Islam represents this. Things that I didn't particularly learn in the class started to round about and make sense. And I'm like, this is how I view Jesus. I don't think he's God. It makes sense. It's consistent. Moses, Noah, Lot, Abraham, Harun, these were all prophets. Allah has taken me by the hand and just guided me from path to path and showed me the truth.